Today we're gonna make a red wine pasta sauce. It is super easy and it is my favorite go-to pasta sauce. This is the one that I always have just stored in my freezer for a last minute pasta situation. This is everything. Let's get into it. So it's actually super simple. There's not a ton to do before, we get a mix in. But I'm gonna go ahead and prep all of my, cutting, if you will. The only things that we're actually going to cut are garlic and onions. So we're just gonna cut the base off of our onion. If you leave the stem intact, it'll be a lot easier to cut, but I feel too lazy to do that. So I'm gonna do all of them. I mean, you're gonna get like 3 cups basically is what you want. But there's no like hard and fast rule. This is pasta sauce, okay? It's not a souffle. And then I will peel that outer skin off. Ooh, these are potent. Get ready to cry. Grab all of your strap. You can put this in a stock if you'd like. All right, and now we're going to cut our onion. So really, we're not gonna do anything crazy here. We're just gonna kind of cut, kind of slices like this. We really want like a large dice. If I had kept the stem intact, this would be a lot kind of, cleaner, if you will, but, All right, and then I'm gonna cut like that. Now I'm gonna do all of them, but wow. This guy is like, oddly like slimy. Okay, so, I mean, if you have a bad onion moment, you can kind of just, I don't know why I just decided to like slip slide all around, but here we are, professionals. All right, as we were. So slices, and then I would normally be holding that, but I kind of want you to see it. And then this way, then you gather. Oh gosh, we're having a bad onion day, aren't we? I'm not crying, you're crying. All right, I'm gonna put this in straight from my cutting board, so I'm just gonna make like a little pile over here. Normally I love my little bowls, but today we are prepping quickly and as we would for a fast dinner. Okay, great. All right, so next is our garlic. We are going to just kind of break up our garlic clove. Everything is so hard this morning. All right. Sometimes what's easiest to do there is to kind of like, you gotta peel off if there's like a lot of that skin on the outside or like the paper. Peel off the paper and then grab your cloves. Go ahead and get, I'm like 5 decent sized ones. Like this is, it's Italian. Get some garlic in there, huh? Everybody has their own trick for peeling garlic. Everybody has the best way. I find that this one works best for me. You can smash it to get it to loosen up, but then it's gonna smash your clove possibly. So I like to just kind of, go down but not cut all the way through, and then I peel off. And then I do that for all of them. And it kind of peels off one side, right? Try not to mix your garlic skins with your onions. Nothing bad's gonna happen if you do, but oof, they are still strong, peeps. They're still strong. All right, so we've done that. And then I like to take it and I kind of like manhandle it, right? I just kind of like give it a little shift around. Sometimes the big ones are hard because, they're really large in charge. But so I like kind of crack it like that and then I peel off the skin. All right, so we got our garlic. All we're gonna do is mince it, right? So we're not gonna do anything crazy with it. I'm just gonna kind of slice it really thinly this way. And then if I get to the end and it's kind of cumbersome, I'll flip it down. So a lot of times with these really fat ones too, like you kind of have to do that, like you kind of create a base and then you flip it down and keep cutting. So now we've got like our slices, right? And we are going to go through and we're going to slice them the other way. So now we're just making like little sticks, like little matchsticks, if you will. Little garlic matchsticks. You don't have to do this, you could chop the whole thing, but honestly, it sounds weird, but it'll actually take longer to get, kind of smaller, more uniform pieces. My hands are gonna smell like garlic. All right, so we've got our matchsticks, yay. And now we're going to turn them face the other direction. And we can just kind of like, you know, line them up. Think of it like a train, a garlic train. Gather and slice. Make it really nice and fine. Honestly, it's not that serious, but I'm having fun, so. All right, so we've got our onions, we've got our garlic, so we are ready to make our pasta sauce. So I've got, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my burner, kind of like medium low, right? And I'm gonna take a generous amount of olive oil. Generous, like coat the pan, okay? I'm making a lot of sauce. Look at that, all right. It's probably about 3 tablespoons, to be honest. And then we're gonna add our onions, okay? You don't have to wait for it to get hot, like, it doesn't matter, okay? This is to take my whole board, and I'm just gonna whoosh. I like to add my onions first and start to sweat those. And by sweat, I mean, you know, you kind of just let them simmer on lower so they kind of release their juices, they don't brown. Okay, so we've got our garlic over here. We've got our onions in the pan, and I'm gonna grab myself a wooden spoon, and then I'm going to kind of toss them, right, in my oil, and I'm gonna let them just start cooking, right? And as they start to get a little bit more translucent, then I'm gonna add my garlic. If you wanna add your garlic right now, totally can do that. I just find, for me, I'm not always paying attention, and sometimes my garlic will burn before my onions are done kind of sweating and, you know, getting all juicy. So that's just me. And now we wait. Okay, so you can see that they've kind of changed color. They're like getting, you know, they're thinking about becoming translucent. So that's when we're gonna add our garlic. Just scrape it right in. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get our garlic kind of tossed in the olive oil. Just, you know, you can see that there's a nice amount of savoir in there. And we're gonna let that continue to simmer. By simmer, I mean sweat. And now it's time for the red wine. Okay, so this can be any wine that you have chilling about. I've got this, it's kind of, you know, just, it's more like table wine. I'd say it's closer to like a very light Pinot. And we're just gonna pour in about half a bottle, you know, just, we're not gonna measure it. No, we're not. We're gonna stop, we're gonna look and be like, meh. And then we're gonna turn this up, right? We want our wine to kind of reduce. We want it to become, you know, to concentrate the flavor. We don't want like liquidy sauce. We want like a concentrated, rich flavor. So that's what we're doing. We're building layers and layers and layers of flavor, first with the garlic and the onions and sweating that out, and then adding the wine, and then we're gonna add our herbs, and oh my gosh, yes. So now we're just gonna reduce it. We're gonna let it just kind of, I've turned it all the way up to high, and I'm not stressing about my onions anymore. I am just building flavor. Okay, so it's been about like 8 minutes or so, and you see how it's kind of thickened and it still runs into the center, but it's you know, it's absorbed into a lot of the onions, it's evaporated, it's condensed its flavor. You could do a little bit more than this, but I wouldn't do any less cooking than this. So for the next step, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off, and then I'm going to add my tomatoes, right? So I've got whole San Marzano tomatoes. I find that those are best for sauces. They have a little bit like less acidic, kind of, not sweeter, but they just have a nice, more round flavor, right? So I like to get the whole. You can also, if you only have crushed, get that, doesn't matter. And then we're gonna crush them. So you could do this with a spoon, but I'm gonna do it by hand, and I'm gonna use a glove because it's a little bit warm in there. So yeah, just make sure you like crush them really well. Just kind of get them. It's actually easier to do it with your hands. If you want to do it before you put it in there with the onions, then you can just do it in a bowl. You can also pass it through like a food mill, but I don't have one. So if you miss any bits, you'll find them later, and you can crush them down. But they'll also kind of loosen up and start to disperse anyways. Okay, we've got ourselves a nice hand-crushed pasta sauce. And then we're gonna add all the rest of the things. So I'm gonna put all of my tomato paste in there. So we've got our, go ahead and turn this back on, huh? So we've got our tomatoes, our tomato paste in here, and this would make a delightful sauce, just like this. But we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of homemade chicken stock, My recipe's up there. And also some herbs. So this is my chicken stock. It's frozen. I freeze it in quart containers or pints, and then that way I can use whatever I need. It is not thawed, and I am not stressed about it. I am stressed that it's going to splash everywhere, but I'm going to put the whole thing in there just like that. You're like, what? Yeah, whatever. And then you can also melt it in the microwave, or you can, like, you know, plan ahead. I don't know. And like put it in the fridge and it'll thaw, but you know, oh wow, shortcut. And then we're gonna put our basil. You don't have to pick it, you don't have to do anything with it. The stems have great flavor. I'm gonna put that in, all of it. Yep, just squish it in there. This would be a whole lot easier if there wasn't like an ice chunk in my pasta sauce, but whatever. And then we're gonna put a couple sprigs of thyme in there. Just remember how many you put in. I put in 3, so you can get them out later. Now the last ingredient that we're going to put in here is a little bit of salt and pepper, but I like to give it a minute before I add any salt, especially maybe just to melt the stock. Okay, so we are ready. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. I'm going to do about like 2-3 finger pinches, so a decent amount. Let's do 3 to get it started, and then we will cook it, and then we'll taste it later. So you don't want to add too much up front because you cannot unsalt, but you can add salt. So let's just, you know, be safe. Better be safe than sorry. Everything is all mixed together, and I've got my top, and we are going to simmer it closed for a bit. I'm going to go ahead and just let this simmer, meld the flavors. We're going to taste for salt, and then we are going to let it thicken. All right, so our pasta sauce has been cooking covered for about 30 minutes, but you can see that it's pretty loose. I actually added a little bit more chicken stock than I normally do because that's what I had in the container, and it's not that big of a deal. So I'm gonna go ahead and like let this kind of simmer uncovered so it'll evaporate some of those, you know, some of that extra moisture from the tomatoes and this chicken stock and everything, the wine. So at this point we're just kind of reducing, we're developing flavor, we're just rounding it out. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a taste and see where we're at with seasoning. Oh, I think we're in a really good place. I do, yep. Yeah, maybe in a little bit we'll add just a little bit more salt, but for right now, really happy with the flavor. You know, I'm probably gonna let this simmer for another hour or so, reduce a bit, really come together, and then we'll be done. I know. All right, our pasta sauce is done. It's been about, I would say 2 hours start to finish, but you see how it's like nice and thick. I mean, it's not like super thick, but it is nice and thick. It's like the perfect consistency for, you can go ahead and throw this straight on pasta. You can also put your meatballs straight into it and let them finish cooking and then simmer together and then serve. This can go straight into lasagna, or I like to make big batches and then freeze it, usually in quart containers or, you know, whatever freezer safe items you have. I don't love glass. Pyrex is good. And that way you can thaw and serve whenever you're ready. So that's my favorite pasta sauce. All right. Hold on, just so that I heat a little bit. It's a little like, It has like a really nice unctuous, like super like rich flavor, not just because of the wine that we put in there, but all of the aromatics and the nice chicken stock that we used. It adds just like, it all comes together. Nothing is overpowering. It just tastes really fabulous. Oh, delightful. I could just eat this with a spoon. Don't tell.